Good morning from South Korea. We are currently standing in the DMZ. Well, at least I think we are. We're pretty close to it. We have yet to take a shuttle bus there, but today we are doing a tour of the DMZ. This is something I've wanted to do for a while, and it's actually supposedly like one of the most popular tours here in South Korea. So today we're doing a private tour, and we should be able to see there's like a tunnel. There's like an observation area. Now, one of the main observation areas that you've probably seen all over YouTube is actually closed. And the JSA, which is those like two familiar blue buildings that everybody's looked at, that is also closed, for safety reasons, number one. Number two, there's a large number of trash balloons that are coming over the border right now, and it's a health and safety issue. So the South Korean government has shut down that area. And then the third is those blue buildings. That's called the JSA area. That's an area that I really wanted to go to, but unfortunately ever since one of the US soldiers attempted to defect to North Korea, they have closed that area down entirely. So we're not going to be able to see that today, but we are going to be able to see some observation areas. We are going to be able to look at one of the tunnels that travels into North Korea, and we're going to be able to stand on an observation deck and look into some of the North Korean villages, provided that it doesn't fog up and the weather doesn't get too bad. And Kayla's just got back and got her water bottle, so.
Yeah, I realized it was gonna be like 3 hours, and then I was like, we probably need some water and some snacks.
We're good to go now. We got our water bottles, and we might grab some snacks here and good to go.
I don't know how much we're gonna be able to film. Did you already say that?
Yeah. There is some areas that we can't film whatsoever, but there is some areas that we will be able to film, so we'll see what we can and can't do.
And we'll give you a recap after we get back.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Once we get a bus over there, we're getting off here. Get off this parking lot,
Okay.
and then we take this walkway. So we're gonna take this one, 10 minutes down, 10 minutes up, 15 degrees slope. Another observatory, because this year was closed. And then we move to the Unification Village. 450 farmers are living in civilian control zone. This is the southern boundary line, military border, northern boundary line right here.
It's really fun. I feel like I'm learning so much more than I thought I was going to learn.
Our first stop of the tour was the DMZ Visitor Center and Peace Park. The Peace Park is where members of divided families come to commemorate their loved ones that they can no longer see. This park holds a bit of history and was a great way to start our tour and give us some background information on the DMZ and why it's there.
So right now we're standing pretty close to the southern boundary line of the DMZ. So the middle of the DMZ is called the MDZ, and that's the military demilitarization line, which is what we went underground into the tunnel. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to film in there, but we did get pretty close, about 170 meters away. So they have ice cream here that is soybean. It's completely vegan, meaning it's no dairy and no nut. So we'll get some. Oh, you're gonna love this.
Yeah, it's good.
It's like peanut butter.
Cool. It's very good.
All yours.
Aw.
Jangdan is the name of this town. Jangdan. Hong, soybean, border, maul, village. This is the soybean village.
Ah,
The largest soybean production area.
Wow.
in Korea.
In Korea? In all of Korea?
In Korea.
Wow. Almost missed the most of it. Alright, so I'm going to do a quick docking point here. We are going to a slightly different viewpoint today because the other viewpoint is closed due to some of the trash balloons. But this viewpoint is actually overlooking the river, and it's a very unique viewpoint, and this is probably a viewpoint that you haven't seen on YouTube yet. So if you've watched other videos, this will be a unique experience.
And we can see into some North Korean villages, see how they live basically from this point.
Yeah. Just a note, most of these villages are well-known propaganda villages. Like North Korea knows that South Korea can see them. So these villages are probably some of the nicest villages in North Korea. So that right there is North Korea. It's actually really interesting. We were able to see a group of like farmers, and the military was doing drills. I don't know if you could hear the siren earlier, but that was them practicing some of their drills for like organizing. All right, so we just finished our 40-minute car ride to this, it's known as the suspension bridge, and we're gonna go check that out. We did really, both of us really enjoyed the observation deck. It's very interesting to see the differences between North Korea and South Korea. It's also interesting to learn like some very unique facts about North Korea. Like the first thing is, they don't really have electricity in the houses. Most of the houses are run by wood stoves, which has required them to cut down all of the trees on the mountainside in order to provide cooking and heating for their house in the winter. So it's really interesting because you can see there's like certain sides of the mountain that are pretty bare when it comes to trees, but there's a lot of low bushes. Additionally, there's a bunch of other interesting facts about life in North Korea that you could kind of observe. A majority of them have to participate in farming because there is no there's no mechanized like tractors or anything like that. It's also very gray today, and it's making me very tired. I don't know why, but it's like the first day that we've had like rain clouds and storm clouds. I'm like falling asleep. It's also like a lot cooler than what it was in Japan, so I can't really complain.
Good, it's just been great.
Yeah.
I am ready for a nap after we get home.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like the gray clouds are making me really tired.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we're having an absolute blast here. This private tour, very good option. If you want to be able to see a lot of things and move from place like instead of having to wait for the entire bus, you can move from place quickly from place to place. You can see a lot in a very short period of time. It's definitely really expensive, but I think it was worth it.
Also, if you really like to ask questions, private tours are great because we like to ask a lot of questions
And you get opportunities to learn.
yeah, we learn more stuff.
Yeah, and especially if you are like, if you're anything like me and you're interested in learning more about local culture and like how people see things, they're a good option for that as well.
They put the guns right here.
Oh wow. This bridge is incredible. Like, it moves a lot though. It's a little shaky, but it's amazing that like there's just a short hike and you can just walk up this bridge, and it's a good stop for sure. And the wind feels amazing. So much cooler. So interestingly enough, this bridge was also where one of the major battles was fought during the Korean War, where the UK soldiers defended against the Chinese People's Liberation Army, which is actually pretty impressive. Unfortunately, they did end up losing. Basically, they were captured by the Chinese People's Liberation Army and had to be released at the end of the war. Well, I say the end of the war, but the war is technically not over. It's just an armistice, but they were released at the armistice for now. This place is absolutely gorgeous. We just saw one of the traditional hiking rest stops, which interestingly enough is designed in an octagonal design. It has 8 sides because it's based off of the Buddhist traditions of like the 8 parts that make up a human being, which is the 8 different emotions that people have. So that's the reason that there is 8 different sides to it. There's also a full moon, which is another tradition for like a new start. Alright, that is it for this tour. We're gonna head back to the hotel now and probably take a shower and maybe a quick nap, and then we'll have to go out and get something to eat tonight. I don't think we have anything planned, but that might be a question that we ask our tour guide of like what he recommends to eat.
It's a great tour. I'm sure we can talk about it more later.
I'll try to link the tour that we took down in the description below. It was absolutely phenomenal. We don't normally take tours in a lot of places, and this was a full day tour. It was a full day private tour, so it's definitely probably more expensive than what you're used to. But if you're looking for a full day private tour from Seoul, they come and pick you up at your hotel and take you to all of these destinations, which was part of the reasons we did it. It's actually kind of hard to find public transportation to the DMZ, which is one of the reasons I ended up booking a tour over trying to do it ourselves. But tomorrow we're going to try to visit some of the major palaces and like unique, interesting World Heritage spots there in Seoul. And those are much easier to get to via public transportation. So tomorrow we'll probably do those on our own. All right, we'll see you back at the hotel. So we just wanted to talk a little bit about our experience with our DMZ tour, just to kind of give anybody an idea who's planning on doing this at least for 2024, maybe even into 2025. Give everybody an idea of what we did. Hopefully it might help you out. I know that we weren't able to share as much as I wanted to share today. Sometimes when we do private tours, I feel kind of uncomfortable stopping the tour to try to do like a little bit of the vlogging situation. So I just tried to like fit in a few talking points while we had time, like in between stops. So hopefully that kind of give you an idea of what's going on. Also, just so you know, there's a lot of places at the DMZ that you're not allowed to photograph or film. Obviously, it's mostly a military installation, so there's a lot of like safety requirements around like what you can and can't film. So I had to leave the camera a number of times, but we do have a number of pictures of us in places that it was permitted, where we had our tour guide take pictures for us. Yeah, well, we'll insert those either like here or earlier in the video, but hopefully that helps you out. All right, so just a few notes. We did a private tour with hotel pickup. I highly recommend that if you are staying in a hotel, especially any hotel that is not in like the major part of Seoul. The other thing is, if you're thinking about taking later tours, just know that tickets are sold on a first come, first served basis. So there's no reserving tickets for the DMZ. Even if you get a guide, your guide still has to go and pick up tickets at the DMZ. That's typically why they do like the 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. trips. Like we originally booked a 7:30 a.m. trip and they said, hey, can you actually show up at 7 so that we can make sure that we get you tickets and make sure that we go? That works really well for us. If you're thinking like what's the difference between booking a private tour or like a public tour, if you're wanting to save money, it's like significantly cheaper, probably like 3 to 4 times cheaper to do like a bus tour. But you also have to do everything on the bus's schedule. And we were able to get in at least one extra stop today because we were on a private tour. Whereas if you're on a bus tour, you have to like, they kind of have to like wrangle everybody. Now, the other thing is for the DMZ, even if you are on a private tour, you can only go past that part on either an official DMZ bus or via like a specific military event, which like, so for both of those for us, like there was really only one option for us to take, which was to take the official DMZ bus, which is what your tour guide has to get tickets for. So that should hopefully like clear up any things of like, why were you guys on a bus and you guys had a private tour? Yeah, so that part is like you're mandatorily on a bus in order to do that part. So the JSA, the Joint Security Area, now that right now is closed to all Western tours. The only way to do that tour is if you are a military member that's stationed in Korea. So that was kind of a problem because I definitely wanted to see that Punjam. It's the blue buildings that like everybody sees where like they signed the armistice. There's also like really strict requirements for entering that. You have to like register 7 days early. But, unfortunately right now that's completely closed. It's been closed since 2023. It's been closed all of 2024. They're expecting maybe in 2025 it might open. But to be honest, it's also one of those things that may never open again. There's just too much of a risk of tourists misbehaving. Recently, in 2023, there was a military service member who attempted to defect to North Korea during that time period, which caused all sorts of problems. The other note that was kind of unique for our tour is we were not able to see the primary observation area, the Dora observation area, which is probably the most popular one, which is what you've seen all over YouTube, in order to like look into North Korea. But unfortunately for us, that was closed due to the number of trash balloons that were kind of flying over in that direction. So they've completely cut off that, so most tourists probably end up having to skip out on that. We were able to go to a slightly further observation area that was over the river. And because of that, we were able to kind of see a little bit more directly into North Korea, which was really nice. And so we'll insert some of that footage here that will hopefully help you out trying to debate where to go. Now that is a place that you could definitely go on your own if you wanted to, or if you had like a rental car, you could definitely drive there as well. But once again, our tour guide knew exactly where to go. It was free for us to get in, which was really nice, but the parking is very limited there. So, you either find a bus that's going there or, drive your own vehicle, but the parking was very limited on top of that hill. Wish I could remember the name of that. We'll put the name of that observatory here. Yeah. And so hopefully that will help you decide like if that's a good option for you. But that was a great experience for us to be able to see right into North Korea. We were literally watching the farmers that were there and the military people do drills, which was really interesting because like as soon as we stepped outside, they started like this whole siren thing. And like I was like, oh, what is that? And luckily we had a guide with us who could explain it to us that it was some of their daily drills or vacation drills is what he called them.
Yeah. It was kind of wild seeing South Korea, like their big, like developed city on one side, and then looking at North Korea, and it's like
a village.
A village from like a very long time ago, and it's like not developed at all. It was really interesting just to see like the stark contrast between those. Basically, just across the river. I mean, you get a 10-minute walk.
Even some of the buildings that were over there were the highest building that they had was like a 3-story building, and they were like, "This is a brand new building." It was an education center for Kim Jong-un, which is also like a propaganda center.
They didn't have any paved roads.
There's no paved roads, only walking paths. What is it, bikes only?
Bikes are their main form of transportation. All of their farming is done by hand. It was very interesting to see.
It was very sad to see, to be honest. And that
it was very sad.
Yeah, I think that's, that was something that the guide kind of like helped us understand and kind of like reiterated to us that like, while this is kind of like a tourist experience, and I don't want to be like a downer at the end of a video here, but it is kind of a tourist experience to be able to go and see North Korea. It's also kind of a display of like the separation between the Koreas, like the North Korea and South Korea, and how people in the North have a seemingly like very poor lifestyle, and where the people in the South have had a very lucky and progressive lifestyle where they've been able to, like increase the amount of money that they've made and take part in technology and enjoy most of the Western world. I mean, our guide said, he had traveled all the way to Rome and traveled to Europe and gone to Japan many times and, been to the U.S. So, it was very nice to be able to talk to somebody who is that well traveled and is still guiding people around Korea.
What I thought was really interesting is, as Americans, you get really varied opinions on the U.S. as you travel to different countries. But this here was the most positive opinion of the U.S. Like, they were so thankful about that the U.S. had stepped in to help them, and he said over and over and over again, thanking us, even though it's not us, we didn't do anything. Yeah. But he was saying how thankful he was, and that without the U.S. that they would be invaded pretty much instantaneously by North Korea or Japan or China, because those are the three people who tried to invade them a lot when the U.S. was not here. And so it was very interesting hearing an opinion like that of the U.S.
And in general, we receive positive opinions of the U.S. So it's very interesting coming from the U.S. I don't sometimes I'm very careful with my opinions of my own country. And I don't expect people to necessarily have positive opinions of the U.S. I don't expect people necessarily to view the U.S. in a positive light. It's not because I'm negative about the U.S. It's just because I don't expect every country to view the country that I come from in the same way. But
we also see the good and the bad.
But we also know that the U.S. has done good and bad things, especially in the past. So it's obviously interesting for us to have that experience, and then when people have very positive experiences and talk very highly of the U.S., it's always somewhat surprising to me, just because I don't expect that.
The whole thing together was just great. I mean, we are exhausted because it was really
it's a full day tour.
It's 9 hours.
Yeah,
and we were go the entire time. I thought I was gonna get really bored, but it was a fast tour, and I honestly was oh gosh, can we slow down? But there's so much to learn that
it was good.
It was crazy.
It was a perfect speed for me, because I originally wanted to book only a half-day tour, because I was there's going to be a lot of places that I want to do other things in the afternoon, so maybe we can come back and have a reasonable break and then go out in the afternoon to do stuff. But the DMZ really does take basically a full day, especially if you're traveling from Seoul. You have to take basically an hour drive both directions, so that takes a lot off. And with a lot of the DMZ currently being closed, it takes a lot of time to get from place to place. So it really is a full day tour. I wouldn't do a half day tour unless you're happy with only seeing really part of it. And if you're already out there, you might as well see some of the other things. And I think there's way more for us to see. Even if we were to come back and the JSA was open, I feel we could do the JSA and other parts of the DMZ. But there's so much more to see in Korea, and that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So if you like this type of content, and you like our videos, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe to us and go ahead and give us a thumbs up on this video. It helps us know what content you like so that we can try to make more of it. It helps us know what videos are doing the best so that we can make more of them to make and keep you happy. The viewer watching our video, we do appreciate it. All right, we will see you on the next video.